House Team Marie, and I'm not a fan of introductions, so I'm going to keep this quick. Today I'm going to be showing you an animation on fiat currency, and then I'm going to explain a little bit more of what makes fiat currency viable, what makes currency currency, and how the US dollar came to be used. I hope you find this helpful. Let's jump right in.
Today, we're going to be talking about the money system we currently use. Our money is fiat currency, and I'm not talking about the car. Fiat currency is money that is only worth anything because the government says so. Little pieces of paper have no self-contained or intrinsic value, but they have value because everyone says so. So, because we've accepted that the US dollar is worth something, I can buy something like hand sanitizer with a few pieces of paper. That's fiat currency.
Okay, so that's pretty straightforward, but what exactly makes fiat currency come to be accepted? It's not like I could just say, hey, I've got this paper money, I named it Steambucks, and I'd like to buy your product with it. People would not accept it. So what makes fiat currency accepted if it has no intrinsic value? Well, of course, the US dollar is accepted all around the world, and yes, the United States is a large country with a huge army that has bases all around the world, but that's not necessarily all of what makes the US currency viable or used. Originally, the US dollar was based on gold, and we'll discuss that later, but what makes fiat currency acceptable, what makes currency acceptable in general, is a few characteristics. There are a few characteristics that are requirements for money to be used as money and to last as a currency. Those three requirements are that it must be a store of value, a unit of account, and a medium of exchange. First off, it must be a store of value, which kind of basic to understand. It must keep its value over time. I need to be able to trust that if I put my money or my fortune, my wealth in the form of US dollars, that it will not deteriorate over time and I won't come back to have nothing. I'm sure many of you have heard the stories of hyperinflation, and we'll talk more about that in later videos, but it is possible for money to not be a store of value, in which case it's not very trustworthy and will not be widely used. So it must be a store of value. Second, it must be a unit of account, meaning that it must be able to measure the value of different items. So for example, I could say that a rose is worth $2 and an apple is worth $3, and it would be pretty weird if I were to say that a rose is worth 2/3 of an apple. You just don't say that because we have money to use as a unit of account, a unit of measure between these items. And third, money must be used as a medium of exchange, meaning that you can use it to trade for other goods as opposed to using a barter system. This is perhaps the most famous use of money. I mean, obviously all money needs to have these characteristics, but this might be the most well-known of the characteristics because many of us know what a barter system is. It is simply exchanging goods directly for another, so an apple for a rose. Well, there's a disparity in value, the difference in value between those two goods, and so it's difficult to trade for exactly what you want. So money serves as a way to exchange between these items and to evaluate each item with the unit of account and to store your value as a store of value, but it serves as a medium of exchange to trade for items you want. In order to be a medium of exchange, it must not be something we want to consume, that we purchase, so to speak, in order to consume, and it must be something that we do not want to use to produce other goods. It's not something to be used in production, and it's not something to be used in consumption. It is something we use to trade for other goods primarily. And now we're back to the original question of how exactly did the US dollar come to be used as a fiat currency? Well, first of all, the US government forces us to use it and enforces this by having us pay taxes in dollars. But originally, it was actually backed by something that had value already, something that already fit those three characteristics, and that is gold. And the US government used to say that you could exchange $1 for $1's worth of gold, and that was a consistent thing because they had enough gold. They only had as much money as they had exchangeable for a certain quantity of gold. But over time, they have increased the money supply beyond their gold supply, so the value of money has gone down in comparison, but that was the original basis for the fiat currency of the US dollar. So anyway, I hope this was helpful and I hope it was interesting.